Okay. Um, Let me just. Okay. So yeah, we're good now. Um, Welcome to this presentation. Today I'm going to try something different. That is talking in English. So yeah, we have to challenge ourselves from time to time, and today is the day. Um, Welcome to this video. If you are on YouTube, um, we will be talking about Flutter and push notifications. Basically, I'm Eddie, and that's what you need to know about me. I own a computer, and I usually use this computer to write some code, and that usually works. Um, yeah, I call this presentation push notification in Flutter, but I don't know if this is the best title for this presentation because uh, like we will be talking about FCM too, and it's not exactly about Flutter. Flutter will be basically the tool we use to have push notifications, but we'll more understand what push notifications are and use Flutter for that. But it will be great. Uh, an important thing about this is that we'll have um, two brown bags about it. So in this first one, we will walk through some concepts like what's the push notifications and which packages we can use to get it working on Flutter. So it's more about the front end. We'll have, I don't know how when, but maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks ahead, I don't know. We will have a presentations. It's still about push notifications, but we will be writing our own server for sending push notifications. That's something different. It's more like the backend. And the server it's like what One Signal does. Like One Signal is a product where you can create an account and manage your apps and notifications and all that stuff. For today, we won't need that because we use just Firebase and its console. Yeah, um, that's our agenda. We're talking about Firebase Cloud Messaging that we'll be calling from now FCM because the name is too large. Flutter Fire, that's the collection of packages that is developed by the Firebase team for Flutter, and about foreground notifications. That's what we do that today. Um, I plan to have like kind of fake live code, but I don't know if we can do that today because I couldn't finish the setup for a AVD and I couldn't get it in an emulator. Maybe in the next meeting we can do that, but for today I couldn't. So I will show you the code, the implementation, and I will discuss with you what's going on in that implementation, and I will show you some examples in the screenshots, and maybe in the other part of this team we can have a proper example. Since I won't be like writing code here like in live, I will just let in the comments of this video the link to a GitHub repository where you can get the example. Yeah. So let's go. Firebase Cloud Messaging is just a tool we have on Firebase, and that sounds that sounds correct. This tool we use to basically to communicate with our customers. So you created your app, you push it to Google Play, and you want to communicate with your user because you want to engage them. So that's a tool you can use for that. Back in the days, it used to be called, actually not used to be called, but it was a Google tool like Google Cloud Messaging, but it doesn't exist anymore. Firebase Cloud Messaging is how the Google tells you to send notifications to your Android applications. I would just have an Android example here, but it can be used for Apple as well. But Apple makes developer lives worse, so it will be a little bit harder because you have to set up some certificates and all that stuff. But it doesn't matter for today. It allows segmentation. We will see that. It's just basic campaign that you can have with your users, and that's great. And it basically has two types of message. We will be working with notifications, but there's another one that's called in-app messaging. Think about it. I will show you, but think about it like notifications. That notification in the status bar that you can see, and an in-app messaging is just inside of your app, like on your screen. So that's the difference basically. So yeah, I can show you a little bit about this. If you go here, that's my project we'll be using today. Like for creating a project on Firebase, you have to have a Google account. That's how Google works. And once you create, once you are on Firebase, you can create projects. So you create a project, and in that project, you create an application. And when you create an application, you can like add an app, and you can select which type of app is that. So we have iOS, that's Apple, Android, web, unit, and Flutter. So we are using Flutter. So you will be creating a Flutter app. That's it. That's basically what we do. And here in Firebase, we have some categories, like we have build, that are tools for building your application. But once you build, you have to monitor. Like, so here you can see tools for observability, and here you can see tools for analytics. That's great. And for engaging your users, you have these guys. So you have A/B testing, messaging, So these are the categories you have on Firebase. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Let's get back to our slide that I just, I got it. Okay, so how can we set up this on Flutter? Once the SCM just provides you with an SDK. So this SDK you're using in Android, and for Flutter, we use the official package that's Firebase messaging from Flutterfire. Flutterfire is basically the collection of, as I mentioned already, it's the collection of packages like that were written by the Firebase team for for like interacting with Firebase tools, also for Flutter. So every product on Firebase you'll be able to see here. So analytics, authentication, Firestore, functions, and and of course cloud messaging. So to set up it in Flutter, we use this guy, Firebase messaging. That's kind of simple. In today, it's even simpler. This talks basically. 3 years ago, I worked with Flutter, and I had to implement an application that needed to handle push notifications. It's the it's a kind of the default mode of mobile development. You have to have notifications in your app because that's how you communicate with your users. And I had to implement that, and it was a little bit harder because I had to change some stuff in Android manifest XML. I had to change something in the Gradle, I guess. I recall, I had to change some stuff in there, and I had to do a bunch of things manually. But today, when I was preparing this talk, I found out that it's really, really easy today. Even though you can still find some issues, that's that's what makes programming hard sometimes. That's it's fixing some stuff that shouldn't be broken. But usually on the average, you'll be able to follow the documentation, and by the documentation, you'll be able to make it work. Okay. So that's what we'll be using, and that's the documentation about Flutter. In order to get it working, let me just see what I have here. Oh yeah, so yeah, as I said, much easier than 3 years ago. And the step-by-step for getting it working in Flutter is to create a Firebase project, and of course, we will need a Firebase account and create a Flutter app in that project. So as I showed, like this, add an app, and the instructions, and that's what makes things easier. Like today, we have this Flutterfire CLI that will just set everything up for you. So once it will give you the instructions when you create the app and say, hey, I want to add the Firebase Cloud messaging, and it will give you these instructions here. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? It will be okay. Okay, it's not here. Oh, it's here. So basically, it will tell you, no, hey, install this Flutter CLI and run this command. And what this command will do is basically to connect to your project and get the data from that project, like some IDs that are needed for making it work. So that's basically that. Nothing really different than that. And once you have this, it will create a file with the options. I will show you these options here as well. So when you're done, that's it. I won't show you how to install Flutter packages or anything like that, because you can find this in the documentations in Flutter docs and a bunch of videos from Flutter team and from so I won't show you that. You should know that already. So that's it. That's it. And that's something interesting here, like that people usually do. Like actually, usually we see that happening. Like, hey, I am with my app here and I receive a kind of notification that's just for test. So people usually test this in production, but today I will show you that it it's not needed. Like, because each device, when you set up the SDK for SCM, each device will have a token, and this token is provided by the FCM SDK, and it can change. It rarely change, but it can change. So maybe you should be aware of it. But the point is, once you have a token, you can send notifications to that specific device because it's unique for each device. So I don't know why people do that. I have no idea. Maybe the tool they are using doesn't allow them to choose like to send to a specific FCM token, but I don't know. I don't know why actually. So yeah, you don't need to send for all your customers. You can send for a specific device, and I will show you how to do that right now. That's basically we in the Firebase. If I go here or with my app, yeah, if I go to messaging, um, and here I go create my first campaign, and it will ask me like, hey, is it a notification messaging or an in-app messaging? So that's the difference I mentioned. So create, and I will just add some information here, the title of my notification and the text, and I can provide an icon, and I can provide a name, and I can, do a segmentation. That's great. And I can schedule, and I can, have a bunch of things that are related to analytics. But that's not our focus today. Today, our focus is on that. Like we have this send test message. And you know what? You can provide a token here. That's the token I've been testing. So you get the token from the device you want to test, and you just add here, select here, and you send a test message. And that's it. So you don't need to send to, oh yeah, I just got it in this smartphone here, like the test with XAS. So yeah, it works. Yeah, even though you have to trust me. But yeah, you can send to a specific device using that. I'll show you this thing right now. So look at this code here. We have this code here. Yeah. So for now, think that it's not, this is not here, but yeah, we have here our Firebase core. So let me just do something here, just to avoid problems. Hold on. Okay. I would just remove some stuff here, just to, I don't want to create another project just because I showed you some of my credentials. I won't create another project, you know. So basically, when you run the oh, it's too big. Yeah, just to show you everything together. When you run that Flutter Fire stuff, like the CLI and such the product, it will create something like this. You can provide the platform you'll be using. Flutter, has a bunch of platforms here, because the idea is to write once and run in every platform. But I just configured Android, and when you do that, it just creates this, and it you add your API key, API ID, and a bunch of credentials you need for your Firebase apps. That's regular Firebase stuff. It will be the same for web and any other platform you use. So once you do that, you can get the options here. So you need the Firebase core because you have to initialize your app. So you initialize your app, and once you do that, you're good. We can use the Firebase messaging. And in this case, what I'm doing here, let me just zoom in. Oh, oh. What I what did I do? Just let me just reopen this. Um, what I'm doing here, just okay, it works. What I'm doing here, just getting the token. I have this token here, and that's what you use for sending message to this specific device. In the presentation, I just added some logs here. I will set this AVD for the next meeting. I promise. But basically, when I run the app, um, it prints that. It prints that out. So FCM token, and that's the token. That's the token I'm using there. So if you see, and I just copy that and pass into the FC into the Firebase Cloud Messaging console or panel. Yeah. And then looking at this code, what we have here is basically the usage of Firebase messaging. So let's go to this method. Let's set up interactive message. Basically, to be honest, I didn't like that too much how it's done today, but who cares about my opinion? Um, Today we have this initial message, but back in the days it was like we had a single method. I didn't like that as well, but at least the keys, like the arguments we had were more like descriptive. So we had like on launch, like this, on launch. We had on resume, and we have on message. And these are the three categories for notifications in any mobile app. So either it's an Flutter app or it's an Android native app. So we have these three categories. So the first one here is the initial message. So when we start the app, we have this initial message here that if in a just check it if it's null. If it's not null, it means that our app was closed and the user taps the notification and open the app. That's it. That's what it does. So if it's not null, it means that the app was opened by a notification tab, and that's it. That's what they're just called on launch here. And this one, I like this name, on message open app. Oh yeah, I liked it. It's a stream, so if you're not familiar with Flutter streams, get familiar get familiar with this. But it's basically a stream. So whenever the user, our app is already open, but it's in the background. It's not the main, like I'm not using it. It's in the background app, and the notification comes in. The user taps the notification, and the app comes to foreground. It will be called this listener, this function here. This it will be called, and you can do anything with that. And the other one is the unmessage. That's for foreground notifications. Like you are using the app and a notification comes in, and you can just add a listener here, and you do anything with that notification, and that's it. Um, that's very simple, and that's just an example of usage. Like um, when a notification comes, like you can see that this broadcast here, that's something from Android. So if you want to implement by yourself, it would be something like that, like broadcast some stuff. So yeah. And here I just got some notification, like foreground message, where I was with the app, and I was using the app, and I got a notification, and that's it. And this one is from on resume, like the app was in the background, and I tapped the notification, and it opened. And these are great because maybe you want to have some different approaches based on like, depending on that, you want to do something different maybe. So you can handle it. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want just to do the same thing. Either it's from just opening the app, or the app was in the background. I don't know. So you can just turn everything into something, to a common place. I will show you how we did that. We needed that, so I'll show you how we did that. The important thing here, I just examples here. So as I said, like, I was just getting messages here. When I clicked this origin here, so just to know about the app, since I couldn't show you properly, this origin here, origin, where are you? Origin. Okay, I got you. I got you. It just sets, like, using the set state. Okay, don't blame me for that. No. Set state, and depending on which like, depending on how I open the app or how I tap the notification, it will just change this variable. And this variable is in a text here. Where are you? Yeah, here in this widget. And yeah, that's it. So when I tap here, it opens. If it was closed, so it gets open. And on launch here, hold on with this notify for a moment. We have this on resume. That's basically our app were in the our app was in the background, and I just tapped this notification, and it got opened. It got back to the foreground. And the foreground message, as you see, we have the notification displayed here and here, but not here. The point is, Android don't show the Android doesn't show the notification when the app is in foreground. That's the default behavior. So, like, if the app is open and you send a notification, it won't be displayed here. You can still take the actions as it worked here, as you can see, but it won't display anything. And for that, usually, what we do is to use the local notifications, because notifications in Android and iOS too, we can just, like, display them whenever we want. So we can use, like, tools like that. That's basically the notifications here. You can see this overview, really great about notifications and how you define a notification in Android, and things that you can add, because you can add a bunch of things in notification. You can add data, you can add these action buttons, and it worth, like, reading this doc and understand how it works and what you can do with that. The same for this lib here. Like, it has a bunch of examples, even though I don't like the fact that it has examples like that, like, too much. So it makes things harder to read and to understand what's going on. But maybe it's worth, like, just trying to make it simpler. So basically, that's what we do. So when the notification comes in, what we can do is, hey, notification is in foreground, but I want to display something. So you use this library that you can set up local notifications, and that's the name. And then you set it up, and you just show a notification. This notify me method does that. So it defines these details of for that notification. So you can define a bunch of things interesting, like, first you can define a channel. Actually, you have to define a channel, and that's very important, like, because you have to set up the priority of this channel. Also, it's a concept from Android, so Android channels. So if you search in Google, you will see that. And you have to define the channel, the channel, like, the name and a description for that channel. That's great. You can also define a vibration pattern, and that's amazing. A color and importance and priority, and that's it. And how it will, like, the tone that the notification will have. Of course, sometimes you have to, like, in a real app, you request permissions for that, so the user can let you to show notifications, but be aware of it. Like, and then you have the notifications here, and then you just show them with title, a body. You can provide a payload, And yeah, because the payload is interesting, because when the notification comes in, you can identify what is this about, so you can take an action based on what it has in the payload, for example. And it's cool. So that's the notify me method. And what we do basically is, when it's a foreground message, we would just have this notify me right here. So yeah, it's a foreground message. So it will do what it's with this origin stuff, and I would just do that, notify me, and it will show a notification that I just realized I didn't add the screenshot here. Let me get it. I'm pretty sure I did that. Where are you? Yeah, that's it. So this is an example. We have testing, and I got this messaging. Look at this, it's in orange. That's the color I provided to the local notification, but just a fun fact about it. And yeah, that's it. About the the example I worked 3 years ago, we needed to have a definition, whatever was the notification, either foreground, background, or the app was closed. We needed to handle notifications and do something. Um, and I won't show the code, because 3 years ago the code was really it was not good. But we had a notification holder, and of course this code is not mine. So we had a notification holder, and it was a widget, and we had this on notification that would take a function and a child. So basically we had a wrapper that we could provide this notification, and whatever happens, we would just be calling this function. So in this case, on launch, on resume, and on message, we would be calling this guy and providing the notification data, so it would take the actions it was needed. And we did that, and we put in this it's a bit close to what React does with the context API. It's not exactly the same thing, but that's that was a strategy we had. So it basically takes this notification and do that stuff, and it's in the top. It's a parent of many nodes like here, because it's right after like the material app widget. We have the notification holder that just does that, just adds this listener here. That's how we did that. Maybe it could be done differently, so in a different way, like um, it could be done like, maybe we could have it in a single place, maybe like kind of a state, and have some streams, and wherever I need that, I can like just listen to that stream and get the updates, get the notifications, and yeah. But that's not how I did that. I did it like this way, and it worked for our purposes. So yeah, these are some references. I will be adding this slide and the reports are with this code in this video in the comments, so you can play with this. Also, in the next video about notifications, I'll bring like a more real example, and we'll be really in that time we'll be really implementing, like writing code for our server, because it's simpler, because it's just a interaction with a REST API. So it's much simpler than like set up a AVD and all that stuff. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.